Ekufananidza emberi yekuenda kudenga. Zvakaoma Zimba. Ndiri kushamisika. We've got a lot of ignorant people. Yeah, I never knew that we've got a lot of ignorant people. Zviri kufamba here, maZimbabweans. A lot of our people are so ignorant, very ignorant. And right, vakomana zviri sei. Pane bananchiverenga. I can't see bananchiverenga, guys. But ndiri kutsvaga report yacho yekunzi some Zimbabweans, especially ZANU-PF, bwino bwanje, amakeboyi ndikukonda kwambiri, koma iwewe usandipase mavuto, chikwati chesiku limozi sichikonde, ndifuna uve wanga wamumoyo, rudo rwezuva rimwe harungafadzi, ndinoda uve wangu weupenyu wangu. Ona ndafunga Joy baba, Joy mkoma, Joy. Nasi ndaitanga ndicharohwa nhasi nemazimba, but hanzi kana 𝗖𝗂𝗹𝗁𝗄𝗃 achida kubatsira mukomana kuti abvise ZANU-PF ngaabude pachena, kwete kuhwanda neSADC, because dzimwe nyika dzose dzakanyarara, vari kuona pane nyaya havadi kuitiswa. This is some things that Zimbabweans are writing. Zimbabweans, a lot of Zimbabweans are ignorant. Or else Mugabe hid a lot of information from these ZANU-PF one-ups, because these are people with less brains. They don't understand how international organizations work. You cannot go on Facebook and put such a useless post, and you expect Mnangagwa to say you are a thinking person. So you start thinking, good, is this guy a true Zimbabwean? And salute Zim in South Africa boredom. Sina only solution. I've said it before. Only 5 days will solve the problem. Let's say, Anzu no gonna kunumuza direct pa Zambia. Vamwanu wakumpindura. This is a useless post from this mnano zviti Peter Campos Chasura. Mama sene mwacha anonyadzisa kutaura kuti Chasura, but mamwe apa makorekore edu tinotaura but tinochiziva kuti Chasura ichi. This guy is posting that he thinks 𝗖𝗂𝗹𝗁𝗄𝗃 himself is fighting to remove ZANU-PF from power. He doesn't know that 𝗖𝗂𝗹𝗁𝗄𝗃 is the chairperson of a security organ of SADC that oversees the security of the region. So when you write such a useless post, people of Zimbabwe, they try to come to you and advise you that Zambia is not far from Zimbabwe. Zambia is the nearest. Lusaka is near where I live. It is nearer to go to Lusaka than to go to Harare. So people must know that Zambia is not far. It's just a stone throw away. You will be in Zambia. So if ZANU-PF is not happy with the Zambia assuming that SADC chairmanship, then they must say it, because they must not point at 𝗖𝗂𝗹𝗁𝗄𝗃 because that is a rotational position that is going to be held by Zimbabwe next year if they play their cards right. So the problem is ZANU-PF people, they spend their time writing on social media to say, look, 𝗂𝗂𝗹𝘁𝗂𝗋 is trying to fight Zimbabwe. 𝗂𝗂𝗋 is doing. It is only coming from ZANU-PF. The people of Zimbabwe, they know, those who know Zambia, who know 𝗂𝗂𝗋. 𝗂𝗂𝗋 is quiet, but the Zimbabweans are just barking. I can't say Zimbabweans, ZANU-PF people. These are not Zimbabweans. They are just barking. They don't know how to respect themselves. And unoona kuti zviroto zvavo zvakanyanyisa stereki. Vanorota zvakapfuurikidza vanhu veZimbabwe, veZANU. So they forget that ZANU-PF, they must come out clean why they don't recognize Zimbabwe constitution, rather than them asking 𝗂𝗂𝗋 why you are fighting Zimbabwe. 𝗂𝗂𝗋 has never fought Zimbabwe. 𝗂𝗂𝗋 has never sent ZANU-PF to go to the rural areas and tell doctors that they can't read and write, and tell teachers that they can't read and write. 𝗂𝗂𝗋 did not even send those people who were threatening Zimbabwe to say, Sabhuku nevanhu vake, Sabhuku ane vanhu ve-CCC, kana kuti kansela anoda kansela we-CCC mukatione, because wakanyorwawo mabhuku. That is the intimidation which was referred to by the Observer Mission. Quite a lot of ZANU-PF, I've told you. If ZANU-PF was a political party that listened to people, they should revisit my videos when I was warning them that you guys, you are shooting yourselves on the foot. You are not doing good for E.D. Mnangagwa. If you loved your president, you wouldn't say that in public. You understand? If you loved ZANU-PF, you wouldn't say that in public. That you go on a village, you gather villagers and start threatening them to say every Sabhuku or every headman, on the voting day, you are going to have a list of people. You'll be calling people's names. You vote by villages. There is no election like that. General, there is no election like that. And I warned ZANU-PF that whatever shenanigans you are going to do, unfortunately, you won't succeed. Because we are in a digital era where every Zimbabwean now is a journalist. People have got smartphones in their pockets. Whilst you are talking rubbish, threatening people to go and vote Mnangagwa, you will be filmed and those videos will be posted on YouTube and they will spread like fire. Don't post anything per social media if you are not ready to be embarrassed by such type of things. Because once you put things on social media, you won't have control of whatever you put on social media. This is why you see every time when I come to do a live on Facebook, I sit down first, I make a research so that when my videos circulate to the people of Zimbabwe, they know that this is the truth being spoken. I do my research, I bring to you facts. I don't bring opinions here, but I bring to you facts. So ZANU-PF forgotten that this is a digital era. Everything that you do today, you will find it on social media. And the social media spread, it reaches 7 billion people within a minute. Right now, I'm reaching 60 people within a second. And this video, if posted on YouTube, it will reach probably 15,000 people within a day. So, today's information is spread very fast. And the people have to be very careful on what they do. So ZANU-PF, I warned them that, please, get out of the 70s politics shell. They are like in a shell of the 70s politics, where they were going village by village, beating people without being seen. people will hear, ZANU-PF yanga ichiruwa vanhu kwakati, apata hapana avaona vachiruwa vanhu. Kuti munotry kuzviripota, inenge ichingonzi hearsay evidence. But now, their videos are watched on social media, showing ZANU-PF supporters, ZANU-PF officials. The most painful video that I've ever seen on social media is about an old man who is about 70-something years, who was addressing villagers, saying, if we say, Pasina Chamisa, tinenge tichireva kuti Chamisa ngaurawe. And every Zimbabwean saw that video. It's a very painful video, where people go, gather, and incite killing of a Zimbabwean. It's so disturbing that ZANU-PF in the 21st century, they reside in 70s politics where they were threatening to kill people, doing violence and killing people. Those videos are fast spreading, and those videos are reaching millions and millions of people. Those who do not understand Shona, Zimbabweans are scattered all over the world. And you know God, when God wants to be heard or wants to be seen, he first scatters his children. So that when this video reaches Russia, the Russians will ask a Zimbabwean in Russia, what is this guy saying? Then you interpret the information that guy is saying. This is where we say God is in it. As 𝗂𝗶𝗺𝗃𝗃 say, mazano zvituta, ya zvituta chaizvo. Ndobaona kunonzi kupusa chaizvo. Because what God did first was to spread the people of Zimbabwe worldwide. Zimbabweans are everywhere in the world. If you go to Iceland, where it is very cold, you find Zimbabweans there. If you go to Ukraine, where there is war, you find Zimbabweans in Ukraine. If you go to Russia, they are plenty there. If you go, if you go to Filipino, you see Zimbabweans there. There is nowhere you go today where you don't see Zimbabweans. I've seen Zimbabweans in Brazil, Baba. Brazil. Imagine how far it is from Zimbabwe to Brazil. But the Zimbabweans are there in Brazil. They've settled there. They've married there. Some have got farms there. They are doing farming in Brazil. So you find the Zimbabweans everywhere in the world. And Zimbabweans are found everywhere in the world. The reason why God did that is because when such a video are spread from ZANU-PF camps where they will be addressing villagers that we will kill you. We used to kill people during the war. Now we can still kill you. And those videos spread on social media. If they are seen in Brazil, where they know where the elections, they will ask Zimbabweans there, what is this gentleman saying? Then they will know that, oh, this gentleman is a ZANU-PF supporter. He supports Emmerson Mnangagwa, and he's threatening to kill Zimbabweans if they don't vote Emmerson Mnangagwa. There is a video circulating again, a very painful video, which is circulating again on social media. Of madzibaba veshanduko vachinzi vari kudzingwa nasabhuku wekuguruve hanzi nawa mukoma washi thanks 𝗂𝗶𝗺𝗃𝗃 ZANU-PF itori nehunhu hwapresident wavo. Exactly. Ukanzwa president wavo achitaura kuti isusu tinokurova kuti twasa, then other countries would know. Mnangagwa ndopamunoona kuti kuenda kuchikoro sometimes kwakanaka. Mnangagwa, when he is addressing people, anoaddressa vanhu achitange mukomana wemombe. Remember last time I said Mudhara Mugabe set the presidential office bar too high for anyone in ZANU-PF. Currently, there is no one in ZANU-PF who can match the bar or who can go to the level set by Mugabe in the presidential office. Because Mugabe went there with 7 degrees. He was speaking very good English. Mugabe was addressing the United Nations. I was addressing when Mugabe was addressing them. So when a president coming into office must be better than Mugabe, Zimbabweans or the world expected a better president than Mugabe. Not this head boy or makaunza, headman or makaunza, or mfudzu mombe. Akatorwa nezano akanzita president. He doesn't have these presidential qualities. Even when he's addressing people, we went from bad to worse. And when we thought Mugabe was bad, because Changirai could speak better than Mugabe. Chamisa can speak better than Mugabe. But now ZANU-PF, that was their only cog. And when Mugabe was removed and died, there is no one in ZANU-PF who can perform to the level of Robert Mugabe. All what is left is mediocrity in ZANU-PF. And it is Saka, if you look at Zambia, Zambia continues to make sure brothers across Zimbabwe have fair elections or they have fairness amongst each other since the 60s. 𝗂𝗂𝗹𝘁𝗂𝗍 is a very cool guy. He doesn't call a spade a hammer. He calls a spade a spade. SADC is liberating us, headed by a fair leader, a good work brother 𝗂𝗂𝗹𝘁𝗂𝗋 Ramboga Darumdar. And not what ZANU-PF is thinking. Because what I'm saying here is SADC is fighting to end this culture of impunity in our country. This has happened for too long. And the Zimbabweans were watching, the world was watching until a sane gentleman known as 𝗂𝗂𝗋 assumed the chairmanship of SADC. He is not representing Zambia, but he is the head of SADC. Zvakafanana na CEO weKambani kuti represent human resources department only. Anenge achirepresent the whole company. Human resources inenge irimo, zvimwe zvese zvinenge zvirimo. But now ZANU-PF people, they don't understand the dynamics of SADC or the dynamics of these groups they join. What they can only do is, why can't they pull out of SADC? If ZANU-PF is serious about what they are saying, they must pull out of SADC. They must pull out of SADC. Because their failure to pull out of SADC, then they must abide by what SADC is saying. Because what SADC is saying here is they want to end the culture of impunity in our country. They want to see the rule of law and the restoration of democracy in our country. What they are fighting for, they are not fighting ZANU-PF. No. They are fighting this wrong system that was put in place instead of democracy. The system that ZANU-PF introduced is not near democracy. So that system ZANU-PF has seen rampant human rights abuses. And SADC is saying, no, let's stop this ongoing human rights abuses in Zimbabwe. Because you have got a right to vote. If that right is withdrawn by a political party that wants to contest an election, because they've got an advantage of soldiers, they've got an advantage of the army, then that human rights abuses must be stopped. And who stops them? Obvious, we are a family in the SADC. We have got family in the United Nations. And those people, they cannot sit and watch whilst democracy is rotting in our country. Whilst rotten eggs are tarnishing them. Because already SADC is under spotlight from other international organizations. SADC receives donations. SADC trade with other international organizations. And if it does not seem to be doing right, those countries won't trade with SADC. They say, no. You are not as honest as you want to think. As British, no problem, yaw. No problem is ZANU-PF. These guys are too primitive, very primitive. They talk of being a sellout. They talk about being a Western puppet, but they don't look at what they are doing wrong. Honestly, there are videos, guys. You have seen these videos, and 75 to 80-year-old men addressing villagers To say, if we say Pasina ZANU-PF, we mean, if we say Pasina Chamisa, we mean Chamisa must be killed. The video is there, and it has been posted to Mnangagwa, and the Mnangagwa bought a car for that old man. Just imagine, you've got a president who bought a car to say, I am going to give these chiefs or these people cars, because he has said, if we say Pasina Chamisa, we are saying Chamisa must be killed. The video is there. A video is there where that fat old useless bagger was telling people, villagers, that Tichakuurayai, tinokuurayai. Guys, andisukutaura kunyepa. Ma video iwaya makamaona. You saw these videos when they were saying Tichakuurayai, and you wonder why. Zimbabwe is a democratic country where a government has to be voted into power, and it has to be voted by the people. But you see someone campaigning to kill voters, someone threatening to shoot and kill President Chamisa, opposition president, because he is just an opposition president. So when we talk about democracy, where is the democracy? That's the impunity SADC is saying should go. No Zimbabwean must be killed because of elections. If you count how many Zimbabweans were killed before this election, since formation of CCC, it's a sad story, a sad chapter that must be closed in our country. This is why the world is telling you guys, ZANU-PF, that why can't you establish the rule of law? You don't want the rule of law, but you want to be called a democratic country. And you want to trade with other democratic governments, whilst you are not a democratic government. So what the world is saying is stop your ongoing human rights abuses. This is a clear message to ZANU-PF, a clear message to the world, a clear message sent by SADC. SADC is saying, we were there in Zimbabwe when these things were happening. We have got first-hand information. We have got evidence about these things. The just ended election, if you want to see human rights abuses, prison officers, police officers, they were given postal ballot to go and cast their votes. You know what they did? When a postal ballot is done, it is sent to your address. Then you go and collect it. You go home. You vote, you enclose the envelope. You go and post it so that it reaches wherever it is going in time. This is how postal ballot votes are done. But surprisingly, you saw the video that I shot in 2008 exposing it. And the same scenario happened in 2023. Just imagine, in front of cameras, in front of election observers, observing missions, election observing mission from AU, EU, UN, Carter Center, from different organizations were there, while ZANU-PF was behaving in that barbaric manner of forcing people to vote it. Then they go bounce and say, I've won the election. There is no election that were held. Probably it was a mock election when we want to say it. That it was a mock election. It's not a proper election. So the world is saying, hold a proper election, win the election, get legitimacy, who recognize you. Kuunga ku United Nations kune nyaya yao. This is what Mnangagwa has been told. Mnangagwa has been told that you are illegitimate. You are in Unga. Mnangagwa has been told that he is illegitimate. He is told that stop all these ongoing human rights abuses. And what Mnangagwa is scared, he knows that once his government is out, the next government will investigate past crimes by government officials. You understand what I'm saying? The incoming government, obvious, there is no government that will sweep all these crimes committed by ZANU-PF under the carpet. ZANU-PF might be scared and try to proclaim the results that they never got because they know what their crimes are. And I am telling you, It's not a secret, ladies and gentlemen. Worldwide, you have seen it. Kutaura kwatikuita Hitler hana guva. Kutaura kwatikuita Gaddafi hana guva. Apana anoziva pakavigwa Gaddafi. As we speak, nobody knows where Gaddafi is. Gaddafi has got no grave. Hitler has got no grave. As we speak right now, Hitler has got no grave. Gaddafi has got no grave. I'm not sure whether he went or not, but Zimbabwe has been told. UN said Zimbabwe has been told off by UN because it doesn't have a government. Mnangagwa might fly there, but it does not hold waters. UN said Zimbabwe is not welcome because Zimbabwe has got no government. So what Mnangagwa knows and his minions that if they lose power, obvious, an incoming government is going to investigate past crimes by his government officials. All these Gumbas will go to prison. I'm telling you, any new government coming, even as long as it is a new government coming in office, Gumba, they are supposed to be sent to prison. Today is now a minister. How can she become a minister with a mental problem? How can she become a minister? The court said he's not fit to stand the trial. And now he's been appointed a minister. She's now fit. The court this case must be reopened. Because there is nowhere you can say a minister is not mentally suitable to stand the trial where he looted the people's money. So what we are doing right now, guys, is we are putting some of these records straight. We are getting record of truth of their crimes. So what I'm doing is I'm teaching the public right now. I'm teaching the public right now to say, let's get a record of truth of their crimes. He announced she announced the results probably 3 times, announcing wrong results, which will be revisited in case of change of government. Yesterday I was live on Facebook here, and I was clear here that we are going to see change of government in our country. Whether UN, whether African National Union, whether SADC fail to solve our issue, Zimbabweans are going to uprise and solve their issues. So the change you are longing for is coming. If SADC fail to solve our problems peacefully, then the blood will be spilled in our country. I want you to mark my words. Keep this video for references. I am saying where we are, the extent that we have traveled with oppression in our country, with these ongoing human rights abuses in our country, with the impunity that we have witnessed for the last 23 years, Zimbabweans are sick and tired. If SADC does not solve our problems peacefully, if the United Nations does not intervene in our problems peacefully, then Zimbabweans are left with no option. As I mentioned yesterday, that Zimbabweans have tried they've tried all options. We have taken a legal route in our country. We have gone to the court, Supreme Court, the Court. All our cases were thrown away. We have challenged the election results in 2002. Until today, there is no verdict on those elections. Tsvangirai has died. Mugabe has died. 2002 verdict for election challenge was never released. Never. The judgment was never released. So we have followed the channel route before. Those who were advocating for President Chamisa to follow this legal route to go to Concord, I think you guys, you must be a bit fair. If you give us the judgment of 2002 presidential election challenge, then we know we have got courts in our country. That report has been set on for the last 21 years. Until now, until Mugabe died, until Tsvangirai died. And that report hasn't been announced. The verdict hasn't been handed down. And you want us to continue to go to such type of courts in our country. So this is why I am saying, if SADC does not solve our problems peacefully, then the people of Zimbabwe are going to solve their problems in a manner that they understand, in a manner that the ZANU-PF understand. And these people are, Zimbabweans are ready. I am telling you, Zimbabweans are ready to solve their problems. So what Zimbabweans want to do is to end the culture of impunity that has been domiciled our country for the last 23 years. The people of Zimbabwe, they are crying for the introduction or establishment of rule of law in our country. So you will see that we are appealing to SADC and the United Nations to say here is a critical issue that will destroy SADC if they don't be very careful. Every Zimbabwean wants to see a peaceful resolution to our problems. If SADC fails, then it means we have to improvise, we have to be innovative, we have to find ways and means of liberating ourselves, of bringing the rule of law to our country, of ensuring that human rights abuses are stopped in our country. A good example, let me tell you. A good example here is Chinamasa has sent youth militias to go and kill people at every 𝗏𝗏𝗃 rally. So if ZANU-PF understand that Chinamasa has been shot and killed, if 𝗭𝗵𝗵𝗃 has been shot and killed, if these terrorists have been eliminated one by one, then the rule of law will return to our country. Because they will start to believe, they will start to think that if we release these youth militias to go and beat up villagers who never committed a crime, who wants to go and vote, who wants a people's government, if these people are eliminated in our country, definitely the rule of law will return. Because no one will take risk to say, I want to be commissioner of police and release police officers to go and bash innocent civilians. So if the commissioners get shot, then they would start to think. 𝗭𝗵𝗵𝗃 being shot in Bulawayo, Chinamasa being shot in Harare, Mnangagwa being shot in 𝗂𝗄𝗄, Owen Muda, who is responsible for the Shurugu, is being shot in 𝗂𝗄𝗄. Guys, Zimbabwe will return to rule of law. Zimbabwe will return to rule of law. I am telling you. Zimbabwe will return to rule of law. These people have sent these people to kill us, and we never retaliated. I've never seen Zimbabweans retaliating. Count how many Zimbabweans were killed in 2008. I lost friends. I lost relatives. Count how many Zimbabweans were killed in 2002. Count how many Zimbabweans lost their lives in 2000. In 2013. In 2018, not far recently, when we went into 2018 elections, Zimbabweans were gunned down. From there we go to 2023. Before 2023, last year 2021, when 𝗏𝗏𝗃 was launched in February. Count how many 𝗏𝗏𝗃 activists were killed in 𝗂𝗄𝗄. How many activists were killed in 𝗂𝗄𝗄? People who were just watching someone addressing. These guys came with matches and started bludgeoning people, killing. That's terrorism. When we say ZANU-PF is a terrorist organization, this is exactly what we mean. That innocent people were standing at a rally listen to their president addressing them. Then the Shurugwis led by Emmerson Mnangagwa popped up with machetes, with spears, started spearing people, macheting people, killing people right there. Right there. And we lost a lot of people, a lot of activists died. So this is why I'm saying that we are appealing to SADC. That if you don't want chaos in Zimbabwe, solve our problem. Solve our problems amicably. Sorry guys. What we are saying is solve our problems amicably. We don't want to see blood spilling in our country. We don't want to see that. We don't want to see that. Because a government cannot turn into a murderer. A government cannot turn into a terrorist organization. That terrorists are being brewed by the government. And those terrorists are using the government's firearms. They are using government vehicles. They are using government fuel, government money. They are being paid government money to go and terrorize and kill innocent Zimbabweans. A government utilizing the army, those FARS people are being paid by the government. If you see Wombera Nende Scar was smashed, a BMW was smashed. If you look at his back, guys, those are clear human rights abuses. You ask ZANU-PF, why are you abducting people? Why are you killing people? We saw ZANU-PF when there was a by-election in 𝗂𝗶𝗺𝗃𝗃. Their cars were blocking road that Chamisa must never go to that side. Or �CCC must never go that side. You saw a Land Cruiser belonging to ZANU-PF member of parliament chasing away �CCC people, firing at them. None of them was ever arrested. Despite these people being identified, no one was arrested. So I am saying these are crimes that are committed by ZANU-PF people, that the next incoming government cannot ignore those crimes. And those crimes must be investigated. So I am saying to SADC, I am saying to the United Nations, that this is the time you must intervene and solve our problem once and for all. Your failure to solve this problem, you are creating a very serious issue that will see spillage of blood of innocent people, including those who are perpetrators of violence in our country. So what I'm saying is this is why I am engaging in this public discussion on these past crimes that have been committed by ZANU-PF. I am engaging so that my message can reach United Nations. I'm engaging that my message can reach SADC. That your failure to solve this issue will see Zimbabwe burning. You will see the people of Zimbabwe erupting like a volcano. There will be an earthquake in our country if you don't intervene and solve this problem. The only solution to solve this problem is for international community to come and initiate a new or fresh elections that they supervise. We want you to come and supervise an election. ZANU-PF cannot be a player, cannot be a referee at the same time. They cannot choose who runs the election whilst they are contesting those elections. Obviously, they cannot choose an election, a person who runs the election for them to lose. They cannot reform for them to lose. Saka, what I'm saying to the SADC, to the international community, to whoever is listening at this juncture, that we want your intervention. Failure to intervene, then Zimbabwe will erupt like a volcano. Zimbabweans will fight for their rights. They will fight to end human rights abuses in Zimbabwe. Zimbabweans will fight to end human abuses in Zimbabwe. The culture of impunity will be erased by Zimbabweans in Zimbabwe. The establishment of rule of law will be done by Zimbabweans in Zimbabwe. So when we decide to say we are taking up arms against ZANU-PF government, there is no SADC country that must intervene in our disturbances. Because once you intervene, you will be under attack as well. You will be under attack as well. Because we will make sure that you go under attack as well. Because we are giving you opportunity. We are not armed. We are not rebels. We are a political party that wants to contest a free and fair election. If we are defeated, we say congratulations to the one who has won the election. But this is exactly how ZANU-PF started. Ian Smith refusing to see free and fair elections being implemented in our country. What happened? Someone with brains that work started seeing that we are not going anywhere with these elections in Rhodesia. Then they started going out to Tanzania, Mozambique, Russia, Egypt, Morocco, Romania, China, where they were mobilizing for support to fight Ian Smith. They came back, they were deemed as terrorists. The apartheid regime of South Africa tried even to help them, to help the Rhodesians, but it never worked. Until an election was held that eventually brought ZANU-PF to power. ZANU-PF is a product of terrorism. And instead of them establish democracy in our country, they continued for 43 years with their terroristic act, despite being the government. They've forgotten that they are the government. The people they are killing are supposed to be protected by the government. So the results, they will see their results. They have sold terrorism in our country. They have promoted terrorism in our country. They have got armed thugs in our country, which are attacking innocent people without those people fighting back. This is the time we are saying enough is enough. The people of Zimbabwe have now decided to say, let's look for firearms and fight back. This is what Zimbabweans are saying. Go to any platform on social media. Go to any WhatsApp groups on social media. Zimbabweans are calling for change. And they are saying, please, those with connections, connect us. We just want to go and say, please, we come to beg for your AK assault rifles. We will pay you when we remove ZANU-PF government. They are begging to anyone who can help. Countries that are willing to assist Zimbabweans to get freedom. Zimbabweans are appealing for help. This is why Zimbabweans go on public discussions with their problems. So what Zimbabweans are doing is they are crying to the international community to say, those with weapons to spare, please, can you help us? We want to fight this oppressor. We want to fight these terrorists. Because a government cannot turn into a terrorist group. What is in Zimbabwe is a terrorist group, not a government. In other countries, they fight terrorists. If you go to Nigeria, Nigerian government is fighting the Boko Haram as terrorists. If you go to Mozambique in 𝗿𝗏𝗺, they are fighting the terrorists there. If you go to Zimbabwe, it's a terrorist government, like a Taliban government, that is fighting the people of Zimbabwe. They want every Zimbabwean to run away so that they can share the whole country with their children. It's like their private property. So can we stop them turning our country into their private property? You've got rights to be there as a Zimbabwean. You've got right to enjoy as well as a Zimbabwean. So this is the issue, ladies and gentlemen. ZANU-PF must stop denying the truth. They are attacking Hakainde Hichilema today. Hichilema did not appoint himself. No. It's a rotational position that is going to be held by Zimbabwe next year. But Zimbabwe can not hold that position when they don't have a recognized government. The law, the SADC guidelines are clear on that. You cannot just pick an individual from the street because he's from a rebel group and say be the chairperson of SADC. It doesn't work like that. So the people of Zimbabwe, they feel like Zambia is fighting to remove ZANU-PF. It's not fighting to remove ZANU-PF. No, it's fighting for the better of every Zimbabwean. So by trying to stop or censure Zambians from speaking against crimes of humanity, then ZANU-PF mauda zoita class monitor, mauda kuzvikudza kumera zenze, muchifunga kuti mune zenze rinotyisa kupfuura dzimwe nyika. Because why, if they want, we can line up victims of ZANU-PF, victims of human rights violations. They are there. If already Zimbabweans have forgotten about 𝗂𝗂𝗃𝗂𝗃, a small boy that was abducted during daylight, thrown into a car and taken away. Dabasina CCTV muHarare yakavabata vanhu vaiva. Nanhasi they haven't been arrested. Tichiri kuita grapple with the issue of Didmas Mtasa. The abduction of Justina Mkoko. Didmas Mtasa refused to name the people who abducted Justina Mkoko. They were state agents. But ZANU-PF goes on to refuse that they don't abduct people. When Justina Mkoko was abducted by the state agents and was later found in police custody. The same people probably who abducted Itai Zamara are the same people who abducted Justina Mkoko. So what we are saying is we must fight to free ourselves. And those responsible for all these human rights violations, for the crimes against humanity in our country, must face prosecution. There is no government coming in our country that will ignore this. If any government comes into power, which is not ZANU-PF, and ignore this, the instability won't end in our country. So all those who perpetrators of violence, of crimes against humanity, those idiots must be punished. They must be prosecuted. Failure to punish and prosecute them will cause further instability in our country. And I urge any government that is coming to power to remove abusive officials from government. They are known. We have got a lot of known officials who are abusive in government. They must, their contracts must be terminated and they must never be given any pension. Their pension must be taken and pay the victims or their victims, the people that they maimed, the people that they killed. Especially in the military. I don't see why a new government coming into power will keep these idiots, these military idiots, those abusive military idiots in our military. We need military over cinema grease. You don't know gezwa. Could you chain I am a soldier. So we gaze out the chain obvious is to remove all those who incited violence, who committed these crimes, and prosecute them, put them in prison. Kana mawaisa kuchikurubi, because tozaje kuita kuchikurubi. Kuti vasabuda jeri. Ashi? Ruby, can you bring the remote? Tell Ruby to bring the remote. I want the remote here. Can you bring the remote? Go to bed. Go to bed. Oh, Ashi. Ashi, oh, remote. Oh, remote. Tell Ruby to go to bed.
Ruby, go to bed.
Oh, remote.
Ruby, go to bed.
Yeah, go to bed. Because she cannot enjoy your crying, my son. I can't stand you crying every time. Every time. Because of Ruby. So sorry guys. Rumbo sorova. And one of the way we solve my problems. Could the victim of Vans Chimuti oh if perpetrator go to bed, go and sleep. Grounded. And the on. So what I'm saying is when we face such government, a terrorist government in Zimbabwe, when it's removed, the incoming government must give reparations and support to the victims. It must respect the victims' dignity and prevent and put deterrent measures in future that whatever government comes in power will face those deterrent measures that will prevent human rights abuses in our country. If we don't do that, if any incoming government into Zimbabwe fail to do that, then instability won't end. Because what we want is a leader like Chamisa who can restore peace. A leader like Chamisa who can ensure violence is eradicated in our political society. Our politics is mad of violence. Because we've got a terrorist organization known as ZANU-PF that has terrorized the villagers, has terrorized the people of Zimbabwe. You don't enjoy peace. You have got no peace, the people of Zimbabwe. And you want peace. You need peace. If you visit other countries, umagarira vakaita soka, you like it, you enjoy it. They are living in peace. Ukaona ma-British muno maruta kufane kudya. Muno anokora dadumbu rinoenda ameno. Woti kana ida kudaisa ndoona andochaka pombe kana ekuonesa. Aribona. Kana zvapera ta prosecutor those perpetrators of violence vandozikanwa vanhu vanoprosecute vandozikanwa. Kunzi nhasi hurumende ikachinja nyangwe auya the first culprit to arrest ndinhingi vandozikanwa. Then we promote what we call national reconciliation. Zimbabwe at this juncture cannot afford a national reconciliation. They cannot promote it when the country is infested with these maggots, war maggots. You need to kufiritira makonya first. You can now start talking about promoting individuals, promoting reconciliation in our country, establish the rule of law and institutional reform. Those things will come later after prosecuting these perpetrators of violence. Because what we want is we want to establish credibility and trust in state institutions. Today, no one trusts our justice system. No one trusts our police. No one trusts our soldiers. Because when soldiers are released to go and kill people on the streets, how are those citizens going to trust the army? If we have got a justice system that can sentence to someone to 20 years in prison for no crimes committed, last Mayenga Hama spent 10 years in prison for no crimes committed. Job Scala is now 2 years in prison for no crimes committed. Then the people of Zimbabwe have lost, trust with such institutions like the justice situation. Our prosecutors have become abusive officials. If you go in the justice system, our judges have become abusive officials. Our prosecutors have become abusive officials. This is why we are saying that people of Zimbabwe have even lost trust with our justice system. And all those institutions like army, police, those our courts, there's a lot of things, a lot of jobs that needs to be done to reform those institutions so that they become rule of law themselves. We need the justice system to be reformed. We need the police, the army, the prison, the national railways, all those institutions to be reformed. We want a national youth service program that equip our unemployed youth with vocational skills, not with military skills to be used during campaigns. No. No. We want people who can do mechanics. Vanogona kugadzira makombiyuta chaiwo. Zvese zvemaskills ekuti vafana vakadzidzawo vanenge vachiita makambani avo vachiita sei. Yeah. Kwete kuita youth militia yekuti during campaigns hanzi pfeka uniform yegreen nenjombo endai kumaruzevha munounganidza vanhu muchiimbisa mapungu. Ukadzoka imbo pungwe dhairova pungwe kumabesi dhairova pungwe besi dhairo. Takambozviimbirwa izvo. Ukaona dhakota rauya ma epaita mutengesi Samuel. Ndichiimbirwa inini Shepherd Yuda. Kunzi hanzi ndaita paita mwana wachibuku mutengesi dhakota ramhara pamba pachibuku. And izvozvo must be things of the past. Perpetrators of that violence must find themselves in 𝗂𝗵𝗺𝗃 maximum prison. And because chatakuda, we want munakaita President Nelson Chamisa anoisa nyika in a state of democratic transition. Yokuti wega unonyatsokuona there is change in this country. Look at Zambia. You can look at the past of Zambia and you can see the future of Zambia. There is great difference in Zambia. There is transition to democracy that have been witnessed in Zambia. That transition to democracy is the one that is being attacked by ZANU-PF. They think they are under attack themselves. Little known that Zambia is going through a democratic transition. Tomorrow Zambia will develop. Zambia will be probably the best SADC country as compared to South Africa. The HH has reintroduced the trust of the police in Zambia, trust of the judiciary system in Zambia, trust of the prison service system, trust of the military defense forces in Zambia. I'm not sure how Hakainde did it. Whether he removed violators from government, I am not sure. But I am advocating for the removal of violators from Zimbabwe government once we have got a new government. Unfortunately, half of them will be arraigned before the courts and will be charged and sent to prison. Because victims are there to come and give testimonies, and the victims are there to be witnesses. So if you are a ZANU-PF idiot involved in these crimes of humanity, you must know that your days are numbered. Your days are numbered. Zimbabweans are ready to fight for freedom. So if it wasn't of Yuda Shepherd coming live on Facebook, calming Zimbabweans down, as I'm speaking now, Zimbabwe. Ndino vafana vanouya kuinbox wangu vachichema ndara taakupinda isu noti vakomana ayo mbomirai ndara taakupinda noti vakubhozi rangu mbomirai hamudaro. Don't rush into things. Why can't we give SADC a chance? If SADC fails, then I'll fly to Zimbabwe. I'll be a commander. I'm ready to go into Zimbabwe to fight. Remember, I told people that I am not going back to Zimbabwe if I am not armed to protect myself, or if I am not going to fight for democracy, for introduction of rule of law. I think I said it, and time and again, that if it means I am boarding a plane, living my luxurious life in the United Kingdom, I'll be going to Zimbabwe to wage a war against ZANU-PF. Not to go into throw stones, no. But a proper war that can dislodge ZANU-PF. So, what I'm saying is, if we make it secret, we will be terrorists. The people of Zimbabwe, they are going to form a Zimbabwe National Army. and fight a terrorist regime. So there is nowhere we are going to be secret on this issue. If we are training soldiers, we are going to train Zimbabwe National Army. The people who will adorn your uniform as professional soldiers. Because we are under a Taliban regime in our country. We are under a Taliban regime in our country. We are under a terrorist government in our country. That should be get rid of by Zimbabwe National Army. And the Zimbabwe National Army is yet to be born. Mukanzwa ndadaidzira panapa kuti mauto eZimbabwe taakudai. Simukaiwa kumana. And anzito mutenda kuti manyai machinda. eZimbabwe takuenda unopinda muZimbabwe. Saka ndiri kutaura ndichiti knowledge, kuwana ruzivo kwakanaka. Vanhu vamuri kuona veZANU-PF vari kutuka, vachingotukana Hakainde, vachitukana SADC, vachitukana UN. They lack knowledge. They need to gather the truth first. They are the perpetrators of violence. They know their crimes, past crimes that they committed, and they are fully aware of it. Their memories are full. They can memorize whatever they were doing. Vanoziva zvavaiita. Saka ndiri kutaura ndichiti United Nations, Africa Union neSADC, don't tell us about peace and reconciliation. Don't teach us about that. Don't teach us about integration. Don't teach us about that. You have watched us being butchered. Taichema over 1980. Kuti nayo United Nations ausikuonawo here. Vana veZimbabwe, they were being abducted, vachishayikwa munyika mwemo. Munhu anorasika unge tsono. Kutsvagwa ndabenyama kushayikwa muZimbabwe, kushayikwa zvachose ndabenyama. Kutsvagwa raishiwe gusha, kushayika zvachose. Kutsvagwa munhu akaita seni itaizamara, kushayikwa zvachose unge tsono. Hakuna munhu anorasika unge tsono varume. Munhu anotaura. United Nations, you were there when this boy was abducted, itaizamara, and disappeared. You know about the disappearance of Ndabenyama? He disappeared. You know the disappearance of Rashiwe Gusha? He disappeared. You know the disappearance of Maslin Zumbira? She disappeared. United Nations is there. So what I'm saying is UN, SADC, AU, you were there when these things were happening. And when we start your way, please don't come to us and try to teach us peace and reconciliation. You waited until there was genocide in Rwanda to start peace and reconciliation. When indications were there that Rwanda can explode anytime, you never went there to look for peace and reconciliation. So if you come to us and talk about peace and reconciliation, when you are failing to solve a very silly issue, a simple issue, an issue that needs elections, to say, guys, ngatende toenda my elections are free and fair, talk about sirai, kana musina mari iyo, kana musina ma ballot papers to print, kana musina zvese makombiyuta achitokupai, do things transparent, then whoever win that election, zvaita. Saka ndiri kutaura ndichiti, we had decades and decades of being butchered by ZANU-PF, and you never intervened. And instead, SADC was busy endorsing stolen elections. Saka ndakutaura kuti Zimbabweans have decided to put their parts together to form a Zimbabwe National Army. And I am telling you the truth. They are going to do that. They are going to do that. So we for the time being, we don't need your support, but we need you. We don't need SADC support at this juncture. We don't need SADC support. But what we need SADC is to be transparent. What we need UN to do is to be transparent. If the election is flawed, you have seen it. It's flawed. So what's the way forward? Bring the way forward. Bring the solution to the people of Zimbabwe. Failure to bring the solution. Zimbabweans can bring their own solutions. This does not necessarily mean that Zimbabweans are stupid. When you see them quiet, they are not stupid, these people. I am telling you. If you want to see that Zimbabweans are not stupid, visit the Golira War. That was fought Nana Tongogara. That was fought Nana Mgaba. That was fought Nevano Agada Kwetamba Kwetamba Ziripo Zud Zakarwa Hondo. Nevakarwa Hondo is out Zimbabwe. These people, they've never been to war front. They don't know war. They were in offices with Nana Zambia. But they will tell you where the country came from. So, we are stakeholders of that armed struggle. Every Zimbabwe is a stakeholder of that armed struggle. Every Zimbabwean participated in that armed struggle. So if there is another armed struggle, a military struggle, then the stakeholders will expect the same Zimbabweans who suffered from 1980 up to now to be the stakeholders of a war that will free themselves. And that will bring a rule of law. Once we've got rule of law in our country, we are home and dry. We are not going to do a revenge politics, but we want a complete overhaul of an oppressive system. Hitler, guys, Makanzwa Mugabe, standing telling the world that even if it means I'm Hitler, let it be Hitler 1,000,000 times. Whilst he was busy killing people. While ZANU-PF was busy butchering people. Their leader would go on a podium and say, let it be Hitler 1,000,000 times. United Nations was listening. African National Union was listening. SADC was listening. When Mugabe was telling them that let me be a Hitler 1,000,000 times. The videos are there. So, ladies and gentlemen, Zimbabweans have got needs. Zimbabweans are human beings. Zimbabweans are just like British people. Zimbabweans are just like American people. Zimbabweans are just like you Chinese. Zimbabweans are just like you Russians. They've got their needs as a people. They've got a country to look after, a country to cater for. They also need clean water to drink. They need houses where they will live. They need a working economy. They need to earn something to go and buy their children some goodies. They also want to send their children to school. They are just like you. Whatever you do in England, whatever you do in America, whatever you do in China and Russia, it is the same that Zimbabweans want to do in their country. If you can drive a new Range Rover that costs about 150,000 US dollars or 150,000 pounds, a street kid in Zimbabwe along First Street wants to drive the same car. If your children are going to university, that street kid in Zimbabwe, he wants his children to go to university. So reflect, put yourself in the shoes of the people of Zimbabwe. Your needs are the same needs of a Zimbabwean. When you enjoy peace, the peace is needed in Zimbabwe. Zimbabweans need peace as well. I am saying this because if you fail to solve our problems, we have got no any other strategy left. We have tried the courts, we have tried democracy, we have tried engaging ZANU-PF in a civilized manner. And these are uncivilized idiots. They never came to us in a civilized way. Instead, they came to us with the prisons, incarcerating those who like tell them that, look, this is wrong. They don't want criticism. So they've incarcerated every person that criticized them. 𝗂𝗵𝗺𝗃𝗃𝗵𝗃 is in prison. Job Scala is in prison. We want a police service that work for the people of Zimbabwe, not for ZANU-PF. If a ZANU-PF cadre kills a 𝗂𝗂𝗃 person, a ZANU-PF person must be charged and prosecuted. Vice versa, if 𝗂𝗂𝗃 cadre kills a ZANU-PF cadre, must be arrested and be prosecuted. Because these are citizens of the same country. These are citizens governed by certain rights. So, whatever is happening now, SADC, your report must ensure that sanity is returned to Zimbabwe. Otherwise, you push for retributive behavior from the people of Zimbabwe. The people of Zimbabwe right now, what they want is accountability. What they want is the wrongs be punished. This is what they want. It's not retributive, but what they want is justice. The people of Zimbabwe are crying for restoration of justice in our country. The people of Zimbabwe, they want victims to see justice. They want to see last 𝗂𝗂𝗃𝗃𝗵𝗃 being compensated for staying 10 years in prison, and the state paying 𝗂𝗂𝗃𝗃𝗵𝗃 about $1 million for wrong conviction. The remedies are with the people of Zimbabwe. The people of Zimbabwe are ready. And once ZANU-PF is gone, the people of Zimbabwe are ready to put even deterrence measures to stop future violations. If you go to Zambia today, I don't think any other president coming after 𝗂𝗂𝗃𝗃𝗵𝗃 will behave like a constipated monkey, like this monkey you call 𝗂𝗃𝗃𝗃. That PF monkey you call 𝗂𝗃𝗃𝗃. He has opened a future full of abuses, which were stopped by Hakainde. Hakainde stopped impunity in Zambia. And we can stop impunity in Zimbabwe. Let's not make Zimbabweans afraid. If it is election time, every Zimbabwean must have a say, yeah, I want to go and vote. Not for them to fear. If you go and cast your vote, you are breaking law. If you criticize government, you are breaking law. That must never be a norm in our country. To say you are not allowed to criticize Zimbabwe. You are not allowed to criticize ZANU-PF. You are not allowed to criticize Mnangagwa. If you criticize Mnangagwa, you go to prison. If you criticize Zimbabwe, you go to prison. That must be not a norm in our country. Because if you criticize Zimbabwe, you're breaking the law. Criticize Mnangagwa, you're breaking the law. But they are there on Twitter, everywhere, shouting at us, shouting at Zimbabweans, shouting at people, poking Zambia's nose. Only the truth will set us free. We cannot talk of integrating the people of Zimbabwe into a peaceful society when justice is not done. What needs to be done in Zimbabwe is justice. Justice first, reconciliation later. For positive peace, justice first, reconciliation later. You cannot go to reconciliation without justice. Those are my arguments, which I'm sending clear to United Nations. Tag them here. I'm sending them to SADC to say, look, any change of government will see perpetrators of violence being persecuted, victims' rights being respected, a deterrent future being set by a new government. That even in Sierra Leone they did it. In Sierra Leone they did it. If you go to Cambodia, they did. Today, if you go to Cambodia, you don't think that Cambodia and Rohingya, they're the worst genocide in the world. Why to Cambodia reserve 𝗿𝗂𝗹𝗻𝗃 rwese. 𝗿𝗂𝗹𝗻𝗃 kuti do. So what I'm saying here, guys, is we are ready to free. We are ready to free Zimbabwe. We are just waiting for the verdict of SADC, because we have said no to national courts. We cannot go to captured courts. We have been to court in 2002 challenging presidential results. The verdict has never been handed down. 21 years now. So what we are saying is we are saying no. No to ZANU-PF. No to their courts. No. No. If we are to go to a court, it must be an international court with no Malava. You can't go to a court presided by Malava. No. That must never happen, ladies and gentlemen. Saka ndikutaura ndichiti hondo yapo yayekuti iwe neni tibatsirane kuisa Zimbabwe mumaoko akanaka. We must have new criminal laws in our country. We must have the rights for the citizens of our country being respected. We need good courts. We need good jails, my prisons akanaka. We need my police force akanaka. Toda ma skilled judges nema lawyers. Kwete mbiti dzatiri kuona dziri kufungwa kuti majudges vana bhunwa ivo imbiti dzevanhu dziyazi. Andimuona nyaya yari kutaura. Zvatakuda kuti hurumende iri kuuya yavachamisa ise ma security reforms ekumeka sure kuti kana uri military uri mupurisa kana uchinzi uri kuda kuparticipate in politics when you go and vote. Kwete kuona mukembe makapfekwa regalia 𝗏𝗏𝗃 kana yeZANU. That must be ended. That must be ended. All those government agencies, they need reform. They need to be transparent. If they don't be transparent, ndopa munoona pakusungwa vana madzibaba veshanduko vachisungirirwa mazvidhina mabhora. And takuda government iri accountable. Ma organizations or ma agencies are accountable. Tuda kuti kana staff chaya chitrainwa, munenge muchitrainwa ne United Nations Charter of the Human Rights. You must create a new culture in our country. We are ready, in fact, to see a new culture in our country, a culture of rule of law. That is evaded Zimbabwe for 43 years. That will give Zimbabwe direction. That will see Zimbabwe in being a prosperous country. Ndikutaura zvinhu zvekuti you guys must see the future of our country, where President Chamisa is taking that future. And more. Vamwe vese vasarava panofanira kuitwa ma security vetting. Muchiscreena ma government workers, muchiremove a chef from my positions are influential. Because you cannot mix chef and cream. No. Because our past human rights violations, they are not going to change. Because with their accomplices, they will try to cause a lot of problems in the new government. And we must be very careful of these people. Very, very careful. So the goal will be to remove all abusive officials of the government. Those who are involved in human rights abuses, being perpetrators of violence, must be removed. By removing them, that means you've removed fear, even in our uniformed forces. You don't trust the next person. You don't trust them. Ku police, they don't trust each other. Kana prison worse. Ande murugona. Saka ndikutaura ndichiti izvozvo zvinofanirwa kupera. The state must have the obligations to ensure the return of rule of law in our country. At the moment, chiri kunetsa ndechekuti ZANU-PF ukaona ichipupa mafuru the way ari kupupa mafuru, they have failed to establish legitimacy of their government. If you look at the cabinet, there's nothing new in that cabinet. You cannot say July Mucha, Obedi Mpofu Mucha government. You can't say that. It's all about money. Chihure chete chirutaurwa namnangago. My girlfriends esakazazwa mu government. Nevana vakaita kunze vese vakazadzwa mu government. No. Mukada kumisa pama tough questions chapter mnangago cannot answer anything. Saka tichitaura varume tichitaura kuti chaakudiwa ezvinezvi. If United Nations kana ichindinzwa, or if they are listening to me from the African National Union, what we want is to demobilize the current crop of soldiers, to disarm these terrorists masquerading as Zimbabwe National Army, and if possible, reintegrate them into an army that we are forming. It's not a secret, because we can't do it secret. We are going to form Zimbabwe National Army. Those who would want to join Zimbabwe National Army will be vetted and integrated into the army. Unfortunately, perpetrators munenge muri pataitwa kumana. Saka, this method of integrating rebels in ZANU-PF government to join Zimbabwe National Army is, first of all, we end their units, we destroy their units, we take their weapons, we lock them into the armory, and give them support, those who will be willing to be given support, to come to a negotiating table, to be vetted, so that you can be integrated into a new military. And what I'm saying here, government, guys, it gives you positive peace for you to meet your needs as a Zimbabwean. You need positive peace. You need dignity as a people. Eso zvakabvunza muZimbabwe ndaona video yemwana musikana akaitaura kuti ndotengesa musika ndowana $100 pamwedzi ndanzwa misodzi yangu kubuda. Those kids, they need proper jobs. They need support being given by a government. They need a working society where kuti kana vanhu vakati akagara parutengesawo drink racho unomupawo dhora otenga Pepsi. Varume, ndingataura kusvika mangwana, ndikataura kusvika rini, ndikataura, ndikapreacha. But nyaya hanzi 3-1 ndepi yawina. Nyaya yandiri kutaura panapa inyaya yakaoma. But nyaya yedu inofana kuve ine international jurisdiction as well. United Nations Security Council must understand that if we are saying we are forming an army, we are forming a Zimbabwe National Army. We are not forming a rebel group. We are going to fight rebels who are masquerading as army in our country. So we are going to dislodge them and take over control of Zimbabwe. And those people must just be taken to face international crimes that they've done. They've tortured a lot of people. We've seen people forced labor. We've seen extrajudicial killings in our country. We've seen disappearances in our country. We have seen women being raped, men being raped. And all these crimes, shabuda pachena, kana vachinge vabviswa. Kana vachinge vabviswa, tenge takuvabvunza. Where were you bound to? Even. Ndingataura. Ona ndiyataura. Risk of new violence. Vakatadza ku deal ne issue Zimbabwe. they risk a new violence, a massive turnout here. Vafana varuda kuenda kuhondo kurwana neZANU PF. Kurovana nayo chaicho ana kurwana kwekutamba kweko. Andimona. Because Zimbabwe must be a country that must be de-ZANUized. De-ZANUized. So what tomorrow I'm going to talk about a way to de-ZANUize Zimbabwe. Sakamanda taradu guru diriwo rairo vanogara mudiriwo diriwo rarembanje nogara mudiriwo diriwo rairo vanogara mudiriwo diriwo rarembanje gara mudiriwo vakomana vanogara mudiriwo diriwo rarembanje nogara mudiriwo musatambe navo vanogara mudiriwo diriwo rarembanje vanogara mudiriwo diriwo ravakomana diriwo rarembanje vanogara mudiriwo vakomana vanogara mudiriwo diriwo rarembanje vanogara mudiriwo musatambe navo vanogara mudiriwo diriwo rarembanje gara mudiriwo diriwo ravakomana diriwo rarembanje Garamdiriwo diriwo rairo anogara mudiriwo diriwo rarembanje garamdiriwo ivo vakomana vanogara mudiriwo diriwo rarembanje vanogara mudiriwo usatambe navo vanogara mudiriwo diriwo rarembanje vanogara mudiriwo diriwo ravakomana. Pakaipa, ladies and gentlemen, chatiri kuda kuramba chinhu 1 kuSouth Africa muna 1994 munoziva nyaya yakaitika kuSouth Africa kuti yakanga iri past apartheid government which had legally separated whites and blacks in our country, in their country. 1994 elections transition saw democracy being introduced in Zimbabwe, in South Africa. At the end, they created a Peace and Reconciliation Commission. And chinhu chinonzi Peace and Reconciliation Commission and idi kuchinzwa. Hanzi songo imakaizwa kupi mkomo. Songo ndoyatairwa muroad. Chirwa road run pachitororo pachiuto apo. Vanadiriwo rairo vanogara mudiriwo diriwo rarembanje vanogara mudiriwo vakomana vanogara mudiriwo diriwo rarembanje vanogara mudiriwo diriwo ravakomana. Tiri muroad tichirwana njombo tira kudzokera iko kuuya tifome Zimbabwe National Army. Andidira hatisi kuda Truth and Reconciliation Commission chekuti hanzi you are offered amnesty when you say the truth. Kana tichitaura kuti uyu munhu akauraya 29 ndira yaitaura ndakatumwa naMugabe ndakatumwa naJonathan Mondi ndakazonobata mutsipa ndakazodai so tokuregerera kana ndiwe because that is not going to stop tension. It is going to infuriate the people of Zimbabwe. It's not going to cause reconciliation. Reconciliation was done between the whites and the blacks in 1980. Not between blacks against black. What is the reconciliation for? We are not a white society. You used to kill each other and you reconciled and have one Zimbabwe where black and whites were living together. And all of a sudden you changed. And your changes are well documented. You started killing white people. After finishing killing white people, you started killing Zimbabweans, black Zimbabweans. Saga, our emphasis is on justice, not on peace and reconciliation. We cannot get justice. Munagaura yatonda achiya chitaro ndagaura yatondera ndira ndakabata mutsipa ndikadai totanzi tikuwana justice ipapo. Tenge tichinyeperana. Kuti munenge mapinda pa munenge matipinza padhirora rakaipa. Saka ndiri kutaura ndichiti ladies and gentlemen, chirega ndiende imimi good night. tosangana mangwana tizotaura yekuita how do we desanonize our country. We want our courts to be independent. Our courts today, they've got poor facilities, they are corrupt courts. We want them to be independent and impartial. We want our constitution of Zimbabwe to be respected. Whoever comes into power must not look at a constitution like a paper, like a novel. No. We must make sure that the constitution is turned into the into a law of our country, supreme law of Zimbabwe. Politics must never destroy constitution, but we need politics to abide by the constitution of a country so that we can get support. We can issue support to the people. Toda kuona gwa raita idzamara. Yeah. Pagaipa. Good night. Yatangwa na honesty guy. Yakaipa guys. And the more. Because that will keep conflicts ongoing. That will keep conflicts ongoing. Because there is no solution. Once tangona gwa raita idzamara, takuda the killer. Once I want to kill chikurubu maximum tavura. Kune magalos. Chikurubu kune galo dimbura msoro. Dimbura msoro. And the more. Saka tokisa kudirora rembanje. And once you start training of military, call me. Definitely, hakuna no sara. Hakuna no sara. Kana ma infiltrators uyai. But we have got we will devise a way, a very good way of dealing with infiltrators. Very good way. Tozeda warege kutumwa na nyati wanenge varipo. But muhuya uchiziva kuti iwewe ndiwe wauya. Aisi zanu ya wauya. Akutuma asiri ya wauya. Wauya iwewe. Kana wauya iwewe to deal newe. We will devise a very effective method of dealing with you. It is constitutional. Because what we want is a constitutional. Because chatukuda isusu. Tuda a military. Inenge a high command. Inenge ma soldiers. But military yedu ngaimbo wanda ma victims ezanu. Kuti wanombona reality. And toda police. Inenge ma courts are impartial. Inenge ma investors, ma investigators anouya vari impartial. Tinenge chida ma groups evanu. Zvezve kunzi mudevele mushona. Handizvo vanhu vasina kuenda kuchikoro, vanhu vasiri focused zvezve. Tikakunzwa kuti mudevele shona, teshona kuti hauna focus, wakafa focus. And usabva wauya hako kana une chindevele chako don't come. Kana une chishona chako don't come. Stay at your house. Kwete zvekuti tapedza vautaura kuti hey mandevele hapana hapana. Hey mashona hapana hapana. To hell with that. Kana one chindevele chako nechishona, stay away from our education program and stay away from our training. Stay away. Because we want to do things illegal. Things political. Zvineka technique mukati. Zviri practical. Zvekuti kana takuda kuti we know this is practical, this is technical, this is political, and this is legal. Asodara zviri illegal. Tichifoma army tingeshotaura, we are recruiting. We are forming Zimbabwe National Army. Chete. Good night. Tingaramba tichitaura hanzi una ivhirwi pane vamwe vatereri. Vanotora maoko vachizora, hanzi vanotora mafuta vachizora maoko ava. Gwindingwi rine shumba inoruma. Toita mdara wangu kamukanya. Vandafunga mukuru. Gwindingwi rine shumba inoruma. Saka tinge takunopinda mugwindingwi rine shumba inoruma. Good night. Tatopedza hangu tiri hora taimba. Tusangana mangwana guys. Good night.